Let's see who's around. I'm late, but that's okay. This is a great mug.
Right?
This is the best mug. Fits
Cool.
so nice in your hand.
Yeah. I usually just use it for water, but I've never even thought to use it for coffee.
Hey, Becca. Good morning. We're late. We were trying to catch up on sleep because jet lag is so real. And we're trying to like get on some normal schedule. So yeah, that is what's going on. What happened, Becca? What happened? Morning, everybody. Morning. Becca, what happened? Did you get the medication fixed or what? We're gonna read here in just a second. He's covered in a rash. What do you mean? That's wild. What? No, that's not good. That's not good. That is not good. What, from the same thing? That seems not right. Did something else happen that I missed? The doctor is open today. Oh, hey Liz. Hey Hannah. Happy Monday to you as well. All right, so I might fall asleep during this live, just FYI. Hi, Des. Why are you so sleepy, Des? It's like the middle of the day for you. Can you all hear Secret Boyfriend making smoothies? Smoothie time!
I'm almost about to.
What?
About to do the first.
Are you ready? We're gonna blend a smoothie. I've never been to a book club. I'm usually at work, but I have off today. Oh, fancy! Look at you joining book club. I mean, the great news about. Tell him to quiet down.
What?
No, nothing. Keep doing what you're doing. She's being silly. Does Secret Boyfriend like coffee? Secret Boyfriend loves coffee. You like coffee?
Yes. I'm addicted.
It's true. Secret Boyfriend might be physically more addicted to coffee than I am. Emotionally, I don't know, but physically more.
Physically, yes.
Physically, yes. Emotionally, no. Because Secret Boyfriend gets headaches when he doesn't have caffeine. I don't, but I am pickier about my coffee, so emotionally, I might be more addicted. Yeah, that's true.
Ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Go. Blend the smoothie. That was my smoothie interpretive dance. Did you guys like it? You missed it.
I have one more blend.
That's okay. I did an interpretive dance for the sounds of the smoothie.
I wish I could see it.
Yeah, you missed out.
Next time I'll go.
There may not be a next time.
There's gonna be a next time.
Not for the dance.
Oh.
Who knows?
Sad.
Who's to say? All right, let's read. Thank you. I'm glad you thought my dance was beautiful. Let's read chapter 19. 10 out of 10. Yes. They're all ready for their smoothies.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Maybe
come.
enough for the whole class.
Oh, that's such a good sharer. How was Zoe's birthday, though? Zoe's birthday was lovely. We made her breakfast at my house and had a little morning with her, just us, so that she could have some quote-unquote only child time, that kind of thing. Yes, Zoe's birthday was yesterday. She's 3 now. Can you believe our baby is 3 years old? I know, you guys have been watching her, not watching her, but hearing her since she was so much littler and definitely couldn't talk as well as she can now. It was perfect for her. Yeah, 3-nager. Yeah, she's definitely a little bit of a 3-nager, but not a bad one. She's got sass, but no, such a fun and terrifying age. Yeah, it is a fun and terrifying age. She is. She's a lot of fun. But she's definitely going through no, I don't want that phase right now. But I think that's totally normal. So it is what it is. You all actually, a ton of you actually have 3-year-olds, so you'd know the most. Becca has the most 3-year-olds. So many 3-year-olds. I don't know. I don't think I could handle that many 3-year-olds.
No, you cannot. I cannot.
It's too many.
Too
Many 3-year-olds. But then 5 seconds later, yeah, too many. Even Becca said that. She said, too many. Too many 3-year-olds. No. Becca's situation was a little bit different, we all know that. Okay, let's read chapter 19. Chapter 19 is The Castle in the Sky. You have a 3 and a 2-year-old? Whoa. Yeah, that's basically like 2 3-year-olds, right? More or less. Because the little one's going to copy the bigger one. Yeah. All right, I'm going to have a sip of coffee, and then we're going to read chapter 19. Just kidding. We're gonna read a little bit, and then we're gonna do you're a giant 3-year-old. Yes, Destiny, you are a giant 3-year-old. What did he say about the end of 2023 prediction? Ha ha ha. He didn't see the video. He doesn't have a TikTok. I have a 4-year-old, and I watch a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. That's a bunch of that. The average of a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old is 3 3-year-olds. That's the average, right? So you're basically the same as Becca. You've got 3 3-year-olds. Amazing. Okay, here we go. The Castle in the Sky. The granny sailed across the night sky over the charming kingdom, determined to beat the sun into the Red Riding Hood kingdom. The news of Rapunzel's tower had left everyone in a somber mood, but the fact that they were successfully building the Wand of Wonderment kept them moving. Jack and Froggy rolled a barrel of oil across the deck and loaded it under the ship's flame. Goldilocks was maintaining the steering wheel and carefully piloting the granny between the clouds. Red was avoiding Claudius as much as possible. I thought you went to ask him and he laughed. I mean, he did laugh. He has seen it. I don't keep things from him, but he thought it was funny. Yes, he thought that it was funny. Hey, Anya.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it now.
You're gonna do it now? Okay, we'll pause. I will do an interpretive dance for you all. One moment. Ready? Now I can't do it because now he's watching me. I don't dance for people. No. Wait, what kind of smoothie? I don't know. He just tosses a whole bunch of stuff in the cup and then I get a smoothie. I don't know what's in it.
Avocado, carrot, orange, grape, blueberry, watermelon, yogurt. I'm missing something. Oh, half and half. Water. Oh, and mandarin. Oh, and banana, obviously.
Are we all good with that smoothie? Everybody want their cup? It's delicious and very good for you. It's a good start to your morning. Sounds yummy. I think so. It is yummy. I speak from experience. Okay. Red was avoiding Claudius as much as possible. The twins were at the front of the ship watching the ground move below them. They wondered if they had flown over the place their mother was being kept. It's amazing how different the world looks from up here, Jack said cheerfully, walking up behind the twins. I remember thinking that when I climbed the beanstalk, very few people get a chance to see the world from a different viewpoint. Red was eavesdropping and snuck into the conversation. I know what you mean, she said. Once you start looking down on people, it's hard to look any other way. The twins and Jack rolled their eyes. Red had shown great potential for rejoining the real world over the course of their trip, but she still had a long way to go. Sounds like there's enough for me to get when I get there. Yeah, right? Here you go. Thank you. So yummy. No, Red, Jack said. I mean, it really puts the world into perspective. Your whole life may exist between two streets, but then you realize that those streets are just tiny veins in the body of the world, and it makes you feel very small. Red's head bobbled up and down as she followed along with what he was saying. For a second, the twins thought that she had understood what Jack meant. Oh dear, Red said and shook her head. I don't believe anything could ever make me feel like that. Jack and the twins weren't shy about their exasperation with the young queen and slowly walked away. Red leaned on the rail and let out a sigh, not understanding why it was so challenging to identify with them. Froggy joined Red at the front of the ship, not wanting her to feel completely isolated after the exchange. While the others were constantly annoyed by Red's vain statements and lack of empathy, it just made Froggy love her even more. He had lived in hiding for years because he was afraid of how the world would treat a prince-turned-frog, but Red was the kind of person who would never lose confidence no matter what anyone or anything said to her. It was a trait that he admired the most about her. "Are you all right, my love?" Froggy asked her. "Yes, thank you," Red said, wearily looking down at the land below them. Although he knew better, Froggy took her remoteness personally. "Are we all right, darling?" he asked. "I know having Jack and Goldilocks around is distressing for you, but if there was ever anything besides their company bothering you, you would tell me, right?" Red still hadn't figured out exactly what was bothering her. It had been a thorn in her side since they left. "Yes, of course, darling," Red said simply, although neither of them believed it. Froggy mouthed his smile, but his eyes remained blank. "Well, very well," he said, and then let her be. Although she had insisted that she could handle the situation, Froggy knew having Jack around would weigh heavily on her. Red wasn't hard to read. The long stares at Jack from across the ship, her lengthy sighs when no one was looking, and the way that she ignored Froggy more and more as they traveled didn't go unnoticed. It didn't take a genius to figure out that Red was so conflicted. Unfortunately for Froggy, his human-turned amphibian heart belonged wholly to Red, and he hoped hers still belonged to him underneath all her uneasiness. Until she told him otherwise, he would remain true in his affections to her. "Look ahead," Red called out to the others. "It's my kingdom. Oh my god, look how adorable it looks from up here. Oh my gosh, it's unfortunate the weather is looking so gloomy." I don't think that's just gloomy weather," Goldilocks said from the steering wheel. Thick clouds were circling the kingdom like a whirlpool. As they sailed closer, they could make out a tall beanstalk penetrating the cloud's vortex. No one had ever seen such a thing, except for Jack. "What's that all about?" Froggy asked. Means the beanstalk is ready," Jack said with an eager smile. Connor placed his hand on his sister's shoulder. So were they. The crew began to descend the granny towards the beanstalk. The sun started to rise, and both of Jack's old houses came into view. Only one thing was wrong. The granny was going way too fast. "Steady, steady," Jack told Goldilocks. "Charlie, shut up the sails. Everyone else brace yourself. This is going to be a bumpy landing." Froggy yanked the ship's ropes and securely shut the sails. Alex and Connor held on to Claudius and the banister. Jack and Goldilocks held onto the steering wheel, and Red held on to Froggy. "Everyone, bend your knees," Jack said, and they all followed his advice. The granny glided down and headed straight for Jack's manor. The front windows of the manor opened, and the twins saw the magic harp blissfully welcoming the new day, unaware of the flying ship headed straight towards her. "Oh, the day is here, and so am I, to wistfully dreams of birds that fly. Soon I will be moved far away, and Queen Red Riding Hood's castle's where I shall stay. Ah!" The granny crashed into the ground and bumped across the grassy earth. Chunks of dirt flew into the air, and the ship left a large furrow in the land as it came to an overdue stop feet away from the manor. The harp's mouth and eyes were open wide, and although she was made of solid gold, the twins could have sworn she went pale. "Good morning, Harper," Jack called down with an apologetic laugh. The harp was so stunned that one of the strings on her back snapped. The twins couldn't blame her. After years of looking outside at nothing, she just witnessed a flying ship crash into her front yard. "What in the name of Mother Goose is going on?" the harp yelled. "We've been traveling, just like I told you," Jack said and climbed down from the granny. "Did I mention we were traveling by flying ship?" "You left out that minor detail," the harp said, starting to recover feeling in her golden body. "Well, thank you for keeping an eye on the beanstalk. It looks terrific," Jack said. "You're very welcome," the harp said. "You'll be pleased to know that I have thought it over, and I will accept your offer to move to Red's castle." Oh, trash. Just left town. Didn't even say anything. He's gone. Crazy town. He's just taking out the trash. It's fine. You're very welcome, the harp said. You'll be pleased to know that I have thought it over and I will accept your offer to move to Red's castle. Although I hope you'll give me a few days for my strings to recover from the fright you just gave me. I don't want my first ballad in the castle to be pitchy. What? What did you say? Red asked from the ship. Did I hear something about you being moved to my castle? Hey, Shira, good morning. Yes, Jack promised that I would be moved in exchange for watching the beanstalk, the harp said. Did he? Red said through her teeth. This trip just keeps getting better and better. Oh, yes, I've been practicing for days. It's been so long since I've had a proper audience to perform for, the harp said. After spending much more than a century with that awful giant, it'll be such a treat to sing songs that aren't about eating sheep and stepping on villages. The others climbed down from the ship and joined Jack at the front of the manor. Hey, Harper, Connor said. When you were up there, did you ever notice if the giant had a favorite item? Not that I can recall, the harp said. I have no idea why you'd want to go back to that awful place anyway. Jack inspected the beanstalk. He circled around the base and scanned it from the top, kicking it in different places as he went. It's ready, he called to the others. I'm going to climb it and return as quickly as I can. Pardon? Goldilocks asked with raised eyebrows. Do you actually think you're going up there without me? He's got to be kidding himself if he thinks we're not going along too, Connor said to Alex. Jack hadn't meant to offend anyone. Forgive me. I wasn't sure anyone else would be up for it, he said. Well, it's not every day that someone gets to see a castle in the clouds, Froggy said. Count me in as well. Well, fine then, Jack said. I'll take the lead. However, it is important that you climb exactly as I climb and step exactly where I step. It's harder than it looks. Goldilocks retrieved a long rope and tied it around Jack's waist, and then her own, Froggy's, and then the twins'. She went to tie it around Red's, but the queen nervously blocked her from doing so. What do you think you're doing? Red asked. It's just for safety, Goldilocks said, in case one of us falls. Falls? From up there? Red said and pointed to the endless stalk. Is that likely? Well, as likely as climbing anything else, I imagine, Goldilocks said. This will also discourage me from throwing you off of it. Red looked up and down the beanstalk with large, fearful eyes. You know what, I think I'm going to sit this one out, she said. I'm exhausted from sitting with a stepmother, and I want to conserve my strength for our next stop, she said. Suit yourself, Goldilocks said, and promptly cut the rope after securely tying it around Alex. Are you sure, Red? The giant died a long time ago, Jack said. There's nothing to worry about. What about the tradesman? Alex said. He said that there would be other dangers waiting for us up there. That man was eating pleasant pudding, Connor said. Are you really going to take his word? Good point, Alex said. Red pretended to consider for a moment, but her mind was made up. I still think I'll be most useful staying with the ship, Red said. Fine by me, Jack said. Then if we're all ready, let's climb. Jack placed his hand on the stem of the closest leaf and pulled himself up and over it. The climb had begun. He enjoyed it more than he would admit and cheerfully led the others up the beanstalk towards the sky. Jack and Goldilocks once again set a quick pace for Froggy and the twins to follow, although Froggy hopped his way up the stalk more than actually climbed it. The twins were glad to be the caboose of the climbing crusade. They had the least responsibility if someone fell. Let me know what the castle looks like just in case I need to rebuild anything in the future, Red called up at them. Jack had been right. The beanstalk was tricky to climb. It didn't have the sturdy branches that Yeah, weird. No, it's all right. It's back. That was weird. Can you guys hear me again? Sorry about that. It lost connection for a second. You're good? We're back to normal? Yes? Okay, great. Sorry, I won't make that mistake again, Froggy assured. Ignorance was bliss in this scenario. After a couple of short breaks here and there, the group reached the top of the beanstalk by noon. The twins' bodies were aching already, and they had just hoped the trip back down would be easier. This thing gets harder and harder to climb, Connor said. Well, it doesn't help that the air is getting thinner, Alex said. We should start wearing skinny jeans, Connor said. We'd both look great in them after this workout. Huh. That is weird, Becca. Like through the call? That's really funny. Sorry about that, Becca. Let's see. Everything became foggy as they reached the top of the beanstalk. They felt the cool moisture of the clouds against their skin as they finally emerged above the clouds. It was as if they had surfaced in another world completely. For miles and miles around, a sea of fluffy clouds surrounded them. It felt closer to the sun, and its rays illuminated this world to perfection. "It's beautiful," Goldilocks said. The twins had never seen her so moved by something before. I was like, whoa, it got loud in there. Wait, no, that's Sasha. That's really funny. "Extraordinary," Froggy said breathlessly. "I've read so many descriptions of such things, but it's never as good as seeing it with my own eyes." The top of the beanstalk curled into the open sky above them, and they all waited for instructions. "Whoa," Connor said and pointed to the distance. "Check it out." The enormous, medieval-looking castle sat on a cloudy horizon. It had huge stone bricks, several flat towers, and a gigantic wooden door. "Is that the giant's castle?" Alex asked. "I'm assuming," Connor said, "unless Mary Poppins moved into the neighborhood." "Who?" Froggy asked. "Never mind," Connor said. Jack carefully placed a foot on top of one of the clouds. It sank down, but eventually came to a stop. He took a wobbly step onto the cloud, and the others gasped. "Oh, my God!" Alex yelled and covered her mouth. "No way!" Connor shouted. Jack was beside himself with joy, standing on a cloud again, but he put on a serious face before turning back to the others. "Carefully step off the beanstalk and onto the cloud. Don't put your weight on it until you know your foot has stopped sinking," he instructed them. "Be gentle. If you move too fast, you'll fall straight through." Goldilocks went first, followed by Froggy, and then the twins joined them after. It was like walking in fluffy quicksand. With each step, the twins waited for their feet to eventually stop, never certain what point it would, or if it would. Sometimes their legs would sink ankle deep into the clouds. Other times, they would sink down to their knees. "This is the weirdest thing we've ever done," Connor said, "or at least it's near the top of the list." The cloud crusaders headed towards the sky to the castle. To their relief, a stony path came into view that curved through the clouds all the way up to the castle's entrance. They were grateful to be walking on something solid again, removed the rope that had been their connection. "I really wish that I could turn off my brain sometimes," Alex said. "I keep trying to come up with a scientific theory that explains how we're walking on a road through the sky, but nothing is coming to mind." Connor cleared his throat. "To quote a girl I know, most scientific analysis, with all means of science and technology in mind, is that it's just magic," he said. Alex laughed. "How did you remember that?" "That was my favorite thing you've ever said," Connor said. It was taking them much longer than they'd anticipated reaching the castle. It didn't matter how long they walked, the castle didn't seem to be getting any closer. "Is it moving away from us?" Connor asked. "No," Jack said. "It just seems that way because it's so gigantic." After what seemed like miles and miles of stony road, we have a light show going on in here. Yes, there is a castle on a cloud, Becca. That was really funny. Ooh. Did you guys like the light show? Was that nice? There is a castle on a cloud. I used to go there in my sleep. Do, 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 do. After what seemed like miles and miles of stony road, the group finally came face to face with the giant's castle. It would have been big on a normal scale, but Jack, Goldilocks, and Froggy and the twins stood at the wooden door, dwarfed like a pack of mice. "Sure, it's big enough, but look at the location," Connor said and chuckled to himself. No one laughed with him. They were all too overwhelmed by the castle's magnitudes. "There aren't any floors for me to sweep." "No, there aren't. No. Aw. Poor little Eponine. I mean, not Eponine. It's not Eponine. It's what's her name? Why can't I think of it? Oh my gosh, it's not Eponine. Why can't I think of it? Cosette. Thank you guys. Wow, that was bad. "Remember when you were telling us earlier about feeling small, Jack?" Alex said. "I think if Red saw this, she'd understand what you were talking about." "Well, thankfully she's not here," Froggy said. "Otherwise she might try to recreate it somehow." They stayed staring up at the massive structure for a minute longer. "Well, we can't stand out here all day. Let's go inside," Goldilocks said. "Well, how do we get in?" Alex asked. "Is there a doorbell Froggy could jump up to?" Connor asked. "We'll have to crawl. Follow me," Jack said. He got on his hands and knees and squeezed into the space between the door and the ground, barely fitting. "Well, this was easier when I was a boy."
They followed him under the door, each moving uncomfortably through the small space. They got to their feet on the other side, finding themselves in an entrance hall the size of the football field. The stones that made up the stone floor were the size of swimming pools. The staircase soared high above them like a dozen connected skyscrapers, each higher than the next. Your doctor isn't there all week. What are you going to do? Oof. What is that awful smell? Alex asked and covered her nose with her shirt. Goldilocks heard a loud crunch under her boot and looked down. Scattered across the entrance hall were floors, hundreds of bird skeletons. They belonged to normal-sized birds, but were large even so. The twins assumed that they were the remains of hawks and eagles. Perhaps they'd flown too close to the castle and scooped up by something else. Did the giant like birds? Connor asked Jack. See a different one. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Not that I remember, he said, but let's keep moving. Everyone keep an eye out for something the giant would have valued above anything else. Jack led the group right as they entered the enormous dining room. A rug that could have carpeted a dozen regular homes was under a gigantic table and chairs. A large portrait hung on the wall that took them by surprise. It was the painting of the magic harp. I'd say the giant fancied the magic harp a great deal, Froggy said. Yeah, he certainly did, Goldilocks added, scanning the room in its entirety. The portrait was just one of several different artworks inspired by the magic harp. There were statues and sculptures of her displayed around the room. Oil and finger paintings of her covered the wall. Even the backs of the chairs had the harp silhouette carved into them. Is anyone else thinking what I'm thinking? Connor asked. Was Harper the giant's most prized possession? Alex asked. No one wanted to believe that they had traveled all this way for nothing, but as they looked around the giant's dining room and discovered more and more harp-inspired pieces of art, it was difficult to come up with an alternative theory. I know he loved her very much. I just wish I could have remembered all this, Jack said. I remember walking through this room and hearing a psst, and then I looked and saw the harp standing on the top of the table. She was looking at me and she said, Hey, kid, get me out of here, would you? I'm going stir-crazy in this place. I took her, and when the giant noticed she was gone, he came after me. Well, at least we know how to convince Red to let Harper into our castle, Connor pointed out. We'll tell her that she was all the rage with the giant's decorations. Who knew she would be the epitome of fee, fi, fo, feng shui? The twins laughed, but their laugh was cut short when a loud jingle sounded through the room. What was that? Goldilocks asked. The jingle sounded again, only this time it was much louder. Jack, didn't you say the giant was dead? Froggy asked, nervously, just adjusting his tie. He is, Jack said, and he didn't have any family to speak of. Connor turned in the direction that the noise had come from and stood stock still. Hey, Jack, Connor peeped. Did the giant have any pets? Everyone turned around and froze. Standing directly behind them was a cat the size of the house. Meow. The cat squeaked so loudly that they had to cover their ears. The giant's cat was obese, with gray fur, black stripes, and white paws. It blinked its large green eyes slowly and stared down at them in a flirtatious, fatal manner. A red band was wrapped around its neck, and a bell the size of one of their heads swung from it. Well, I guess we know where the bird skeletons came from, Alex said under her breath. A low rumbling sound filled the room as the cat began to purr. It licked its lips, and its eyes grew. It narrowed its pupils, and its narrow pupils shrank. Goldilocks retrieved her sword, and Jack pulled out his axe. No one move, Jack said. On the counter, all three were going to run under the table and split up and try to confuse it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The 5 bolted under the table and spread out. The cat leapt after them, trying to grab hold of as many of them as it could. They ran through the table and chair legs, dodging the claws coming at them from all angles. This is why I'm a dog person, Connor yelled. The cat was so excited it didn't know whom to start with. It eventually became most fascinated with Froggy, who out of all of them looked the most like a giant cat toy. He was hopping around like a maniac, barely missing the cat's claws and snapping teeth. Somebody help me! Froggy shouted. Jack grabbed hold of the cat's tail. The twins didn't know what he expected to accomplish with this because he immediately flew through the air, whipping around and hanging on for dear life. The cat's belly swung almost more dangerously than its claws, knocking the twins to the floor as it passed by them. Goldilocks saw a large knife peeking over the top of the table above her. She climbed up the chair leg and then jumped from the seat and grabbed onto the top of the table. She pulled herself up and went to the large knife, but it was too heavy to lift. The cat violently jerked its tail and Jack was thrown across the room. Froggy was screaming like the twins had never heard him scream before. He hadn't been injured yet, but his clothing had been shredded by the cat's claws. The cat cornered Froggy and crouched down, about to pounce. Not the frog! Not the frog! Froggy tried to penetrate the feline's mind. It won't taste good. Trust me, it won't taste good. Goldilocks whistled from the top of the table. Here, kitty, kitty, she called down. She'd managed to get the knife on its side and reflecting the light from the other side of the room. The cat left Froggy alone and began chasing its reflection around the room. Alex and Connor helped each other to their feet. Are you okay? He asked her. Yeah, I'll be all right, she said. Alex, Connor, Charlie, I've got a plan. And he could use a hand. Jack called to them, and he was standing in front of the giant's cupboard. Let's get this open and we'll trap the cat inside. The twins ran over to help him and pulled the large cupboard doors open. What am I going to do? Froggy asked, completely out of breath. Stand in front of it, Jack said, and when the cat goes for it, jump out of the way. Okay, thank goodness, Froggy said with fake relief. For a minute I thought I was going to be in danger. The cat quickly became bored with chasing the reflection and came to look and saw Goldilocks at the top of the table. She was what he wanted now. Oh no, Goldilocks said to herself. The cat ran towards her, jumping to the top of the table in one leap. Goldilocks dove under the tablecloth. She moved around like a bug under a rug and drove the cat crazy. Meow. The cat squeaked, trying to grab at her through the tablecloth. Meow. Hey, Whiskers, Froggy shouted. Care for some frog legs? He did a dreading dance to get the cat's attention. Meow. The cat reconsidered. Meow. The cat decided and jumped down from the table towards the frog. Now, Charlie, Jack shouted. The twins watched in horror as they were watching a show, as if they were watching what was happening in slow motion. The cat was zooming towards Froggy, ready to sink its teeth and claws into him. Froggy hopped out of the way at the very last second, narrowly avoiding the outstretched claws. The cat slammed into the cupboard, and Jack and the twins shut the door behind it. Froggy joined them, and together they fought against the cat, trying to keep it inside. A heavy grunt came from the top of the table. Goldilocks pushed a giant spoon over the edge, and it hit the floor with a thud. She slid down the table leg like it was a pole for a firehouse. The twins ran and helped her carry the spoon to the cupboard. They slid the spoon between the handles of the cupboard, and the cat was trapped. For now. Wow! The cat angrily growled from inside the cupboard. Wow! Let's get out of here, Jack ordered. The spoon won't hold it forever. The five of them made a mad dash through the dining room and back down to the entrance hall. The cat banged violently against the cupboards, bending the spoon ever so slightly with every push. Jack and Goldilocks ran towards the door at full speed. They hit the floor with perfect momentum and slid under the door. Connor tried copying them, but only tripped himself and had to climb under the door the regular way that he and his sister and Froggy had done. Once they were outside, all five of them took off running as fast as they possibly could to the stony path. That cat isn't going to follow us, right? Connor asked the others as they ran. They all glanced back, praying that he wouldn't be able to see the cat emerging from behind the castle door. What they had seen instead, until now, was the giant cat door cut into the castle's door and a furious cat poking its head through it. Oh, come on, Connor shouted. The cat chased after them like a fat and furry torpedo. Thankfully, its weight slowed it down, so it took a while for it to catch up to them. The stony path ended, and the group of five carefully moved through the clouds at a sluggish speed. The cat was apprehensive about stepping onto the clouds, but it was too determined to stop now. Luckily, it had just as much trouble walking onto the clouds as they did, but the cat still tried clawing at whoever was closest to them. We've got to get down, Goldilocks shouted. Everyone crawl the rest of the way to the beanstalk. They fell onto their hands and knees, and they were covered by the clouds. They couldn't see where they were crawling, but at least the cat couldn't either. It tried digging them out of the clouds, sending large cloudy chunks into the air, but never found anyone. One by one, Jack, Goldilocks, Froggy, and the twins found the beanstalk and started their descent back to the ground. They didn't even bother with the ropes this time. In fact, they were practically throwing themselves down the beanstalk, leaf by leaf. They bounced closer and closer to the ground below. The cat's not going to follow us down the beanstalk, is it? Connor asked, but just as he did, the cat poked its huge head through the clouds above them. Meow, the cat said, delighted to finally find them. God, I hate this flipping cat, Connor yelled. The cat was descending the beanstalk behind them now. It looked like an elephant climbing down a tightrope. It was timid from height, moving at a lazily cautious pace. It clearly hadn't thought through this plan. Goldilocks started slicing through the beanstalk's leaves as they passed them, making it more difficult for the cat to follow. What in the world? A voice shouted up at them. Red was staring up at the beanstalk, watching her five friends being chased by an enormous cat. Am I actually seeing this, or did I bump my head when we landed earlier? You are actually seeing this, my dear, Froggy yelled down at her. Claudius was going nuts too. He barked up at the colossal cat in the sky and pulled against his restraints. The tiny wolf made the enormous cat very nervous, and it stopped, now stuck on the upper part of the beanstalk. Red, you need to cut the beanstalk down, Jack yelled at her. Excuse me? Red asked. You need to cut the beanstalk down before the cat reaches the bottom, he yelled. There should be an axe in my shack. Get it and start chopping. Red looked around for someone else to do it instead, but there was no one to be found. Red, we need you, Alex said. Red mustered up all the determination she had. Okay, I'll do it, she yelled, and she ran straight for the shack. She ran quickly and came out a moment later. Wait, which one's an axe again? Goldilocks slapped an open palm against her head. The one that looks like this, Jack said, raising his own. Got it, Red said, and then she went back into the shack. She ran out, dragging a large axe behind her as if it weighed more than her. Now chop it down, Jack yelled. Red nodded. She lifted the axe, which took all the strength she possessed, and swung it towards the beanstalk. She missed it by several inches and then spun around and hit the ground. Come on, Red, you can do this, Alex cheered down at her. We believe in you, darling, Froggy called down. Red looked at her own reflection in the axe and fixed a strand of hair that had fallen. She took another swing at it, and this time she hit the beanstalk, but only left a tiny dent in it. I hit it, Red said, and jumped up and down, so proud of herself. You're gonna need to hit it about 1,000 times harder than that, Goldilocks yelled. The cat grew agitated, seeing the 5 of them getting closer and closer to the ground. It started to climb down, moving faster than ever. Its bright green eyes were fixed on them. Red took another swing at the beanstalk, barely leaving a large mark. You can do this. No, excuse me. I can't do this, Red said through sniffles. You can do it, Red. Do it for your country. Do it for Granny. Do it for me, Froggy encouraged her. Pretend the beanstalk is Goldilocks, Connor said. Everyone on the beanstalk froze and just stared at Connor. Red looked down at the axe more determinedly than ever. Connor had done the trick. With one confident swing, Red sliced through the entire base of the beanstalk with practically inhuman strength. Everyone was shocked, but none as shocked as Red. Even the cat looked surprised. The beanstalk began to teeter. Everyone, get to this side of the beanstalk, Jack yelled, and they all swung themselves down the side of the beanstalk that wasn't going to hit the ground. The beanstalk slowly began to fall, faster and faster and faster. The cat, however, wasn't ready for its quest to conclude. It sank one front paw into the beanstalk and a back paw into the clouds above, holding it in place. Now what? Alex yelled. Claudius broke his restraints on the deck of the Granny and ran down to the base of the beanstalk. He barked up at the giant cat dangling in the sky. The cat yipped fearfully. In one giant leap, it let go of the beanstalk and soared back to the cloudy world above. Timber! Jack yelled down. The beanstalk fell towards the ground like a giant whip. It crashed into the manor, splitting in half like a knife slicing birthday cake. Jack, Goldilocks, Froggy, and the twins looked up at one another. They were all surprised that they had survived this ordeal. There was a moment of silence before they heard an earth-shattering scream. They all looked towards the manor, and the beanstalk had missed the golden harp by inches. That is the second time I've almost died today, and it isn't even dusk, the harp shouted. The team climbed down from the beanstalk and brushed themselves off. Froggy gave Red an enormous hug. You saved our lives, Froggy said and twirled her around. Goldilocks avoided making eye contact with Red. Nice one, she said begrudgingly, and then quickly walked away. The twins lay on the grass and caught their breath. The clouds began to part now, and the beanstalk was gone and revealed a beautiful, bright sky. I never want to do that again, Connor said. Never, Alex agreed. Jack walked over to the newly destroyed manor. Hey, Harper, he said with an apologetic hesitation in his voice. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is you're still moving. The bad news is you're coming with us. Dun, dun, dun. That was a cool chapter. That had a lot of fun stuff in it. Fun, fun, fun. All right. I got to get to work. Got a lot of stuff to do today. It's Monday. Hopefully you guys all enjoy your Monday. I will see you all later. Bye, guys.